Hello, everybody. This is Joe Pometto. Joe, the lawyer, felt like going live tonight and sharing a few thoughts. You can see over here, I have a picture of the Drudge Report, and maybe we'll go through and we'll scan some news. I just did a video on the Alec Baldwin interview about the shooting on the set of Rust, and I will release that video later today. But really, the reason I jumped on and decided to go live today is I wanted to share some thoughts on the Arbery case. And, on the George Floyd case, I expressed my opinion. I made a prediction. I thought the jury reached the correct verdict of convicting him of convicting Derek Chauvin of an unintentional homicide. And then I commented a lot on the Kyle Rittenhouse trial and how I felt the jury also got that decision correct by acquitting Mr. Rittenhouse of all charges based on a theory of self-defense. But I have to admit, the Ahmaud Arbery case and the conviction of the two McNichols gentlemen and the third guy really was one that I really had to think about, only because I didn't have as many facts at the beginning. But I also wanted to see how the trial played out and get a full view of the case before I gave an opinion, because it's really hard to just trust the narratives that you see in the media. The media is going to jump to guilt or jump to innocence. They're going to jump to some sort of conclusion right off the bat. And as a lawyer, most of the reporting that I see in the media on trials and legal issues is just so far off base, it makes my head spin. So I wanted to get a better sense for the Arbery case before I gave an opinion as to whether or not the jury got it right in making their decision. And I have to say, after thinking about it a bit more and watching most of the testimony from Mr. McNichols, I have come to the conclusion that I do believe that the jury likely got it right there. Now, I still think that there is a big chance of this case being appealed. It will certainly be appealed, but I think there's also a chance that the appeal might have some legs to it. Because really, that case, as much as the media framed it as a self-defense case, I actually think the more relevant law there was the citizen's arrest law. Like, that didn't play, they compared Rittenhouse and Arbery, but citizen's arrest didn't play a role in the Kyle Rittenhouse case. It did play a huge role in the Arbery case, because if the McNichols, these three men were acting under the color of law, if they were acting in a way that would tend to show that they were executing a legal citizen's arrest, that would give a lot of strength to their self-defense claim, because you lose self-defense if you initiate the contact. And it's obvious from the video that these gentlemen initiated the contact with Ahmaud Arbery. So the question then pivots to whether or not this was valid under the citizen's arrest. Now, the judge said that he wasn't going to allow the jury to ponder the citizen's arrest issue because the conduct that sparked these men to try to pursue the citizen's arrest had happened in the weeks before the actual incident. Therefore, he didn't think that it was timely enough for them to assert citizen's arrest. And that goes deep into the Georgia citizen's arrest statute, which I addressed in prior videos. Hello, Dave. Thank you for joining me. And the citizen's arrest in Georgia essentially says that if you have knowledge that someone committed a felony or another serious crime, then you can go and you can enact the citizen's arrest. But the judge interpreted that statute as requiring your observation or personal knowledge of the crime to have been immediate. There's an element of recency here. Now, the issue that I had in the case was I really didn't know what sparked the McNichols to begin following Arbery. And, the media said, oh, it was nothing. And then you also heard from other news outlets that, Arbery had been committing a burglary. And really, what I gathered from the testimony that McNichols gave is that essentially they knew that there had been some theft of items from a work site in the neighborhood. Therefore, they knew that in the past weeks there had possibly been a burglary. However, on the day that they pursued Arbery, they did not actually witness a burglary, nor did they have firsthand knowledge of a crime being committed on that day and time. That's why the judge said the statute wouldn't apply. And that's why I think the jury likely got it right here, because the reason for why they began to pursue Arbery is extremely important here. If they had a good reason, if they were acting under the color of law, it changes the context of the case. But McNichols testified that they didn't witness anything that day, and they didn't have any personal knowledge of Arbery breaking into a building on that particular day. These were past crimes, and the problem with past offenses is they really have no idea who did that or who didn't do it, okay? Even if Arbery fit the description of the possible suspect. They get out there, they start following him. They just didn't have, in the words of, in Latin, they just didn't have enough casus belli, enough good reason to go out there and do what they did and initiate that contact. So, these men, the one thing I do think, I'm not sure that given the circumstances, they should have been convicted of first-degree murder. I do think that they should have been convicted of some sort of reckless or negligent murder, and I think the judge likely got it right in his interpretation of the citizen's arrest statute. However, that is a very potent issue, and that issue will be appealed, will likely go to the Georgia Supreme Court. I have no idea what the case law and jurisprudence surrounding that issue is in Georgia, so it's hard for me to say whether it will succeed, but I would not be surprised at all to see these men get another trial. I would not be surprised at all. I think there's at least a 50-50, which is a lot, chance of them getting another trial. So I just wanted to sort of bury that hatchet. It took me a long time to form my opinion on this. Some of the other cases, the Chauvin case and the Rittenhouse case, my opinion formed much sooner, and I thought it was a bit easier to make. But this case, I do think these men should have been convicted. I don't think they should have been convicted of premeditated murder, which they were. That's another possible appealable issue. I don't think that's as strong as the other issue. I don't know if they should have been. I think they should have been convicted of some sort of reckless or unintentional homicide, which is second or third degree in some states, which still carries a very hefty penalty. Intentional homicide is essentially a life penalty, is essentially a life sentence, and can even lead to a death sentence in many states. So I wanted to bury that hatchet, and that's why I jumped on here today. Hello, Dave Peterson. Hello, Michael Hendricks. Thanks for joining me. Don't have too many viewers right now, and that's okay, because I'll save this video, drop it in. You can watch it at your convenience. I also didn't announce that I was going live. If anybody who's jumped in the chat, if you want to talk about something, let me know, and we can go ahead and chat about it. But if there's nothing that you guys want to address, that's the real reason I jumped on here, to sort of bury the hatchet when it came to the Ahmaud Arbery case. I'm going to put out a video about Alec Baldwin. There's been some developments in that case. He has also given an interview, and I did a preliminary analysis on the interview. So we're going to take a look at that. And, I'll watch the news, see if there's any interesting trials that I'm going to talk about in the coming days. As you can also see on my channel, I've been dropping some content related to legal knowledge. So, I just did a video on how to sleep it off in your car. I think that's very helpful video, and I hope that you guys enjoy, my viewers, guys and girls, enjoy that video, because the truth of the matter is some people get DUIs when they fully didn't intend to drive. Okay, and I'm not saying it's often the case, but it does happen where if you get into a vehicle and start the vehicle and you run the car, you could potentially be convicted of a DUI. I had a client one time who was found. See, here was the thing: he was found sleeping in a vehicle, and the vehicle was running, and it was parked like it wasn't correctly in the parking spot. And some neighbors called the police, and when the police came, they had one of the facts that they cited, actually the car was turned off, but one of the facts they cited was that there was condensation on the muffler exhaust pipe, and therefore he concluded that the car had recently been driven or running. I mean, that's how detailed and technical a DUI case can get. So there is a way to sleep it off in your car and not get a DUI. And the key to that is don't sleep in the driver's seat. Don't sleep in the driver's seat. It's a lot harder for them to show actual physical control of the vehicle if you were sleeping in the passenger seat. So if you're going to sleep it off, get in, turn the car on, put the heat on, get in the back seat, lay down, or sleep in the passenger seat. Much safer way to do it. Mike, Mr. Hendricks, you're welcome. Oh, very cool that you practice in Ohio. Absolutely. Look, I'm here to talk about the criminal law and all kinds of different laws. But thanks for tuning in. If there's any issues you want me to do a video on or chat about, I would be happy to do it. I'm very steeped in the criminal law. I probably do a couple of DUIs per week. And I do a lot of, I get a lot of heavier cases too. I get assaults. I've done sexual assaults. I've done, statutory rape cases, firearms, shootings, white collar. I actually have a couple of interesting white collar cases right now, which are just going to be fascinating to see how they play out. But unless anybody wants to bounce something off me, I'm going to hop off for now. Thank you for tuning in to Joe the Lawyer, Dave, and Mr. Hendricks. I appreciate you guys jumping in here. I'm going to make this a video, put a nice thumbnail up. All right, have a great evening. Joe the Lawyer